Good evening. My name is Chuck Powers. I'm the president of Bergen Grassroots, an organization which since 2013 has been doing these electoral forum efforts with all of the candidates who run for office in the county of Bergen. Tonight, we're going to be talking to people, two of whom will be part of the 7-member board of freeholders by the time they actually become freeholders in January. Their titles will be commissioners because that's what the state has changed to. But the importance of this particular office, I think, is largely overlooked. This group, last May and June, struggled through the process of trying to figure out what it is that the county should be doing with its budget, and added about $180 million to its appropriations. In fact, was taking in $163 million already from the CARES Act that was added to its resources as they tried to fight the pandemic. This group also sets the policy for the council. So who you are electing tonight, though they may appear at the bottom of your first page of your mail-in ballot, the 4 people who you'll hear from tonight will send 2 of their members to that board of freeholders, now commissioners, to make the major decisions with an astounding amount of resources in this county of nearly 1 million people. Tonight, our job, first of all, is to make sure that you know who these people are. And so we've asked each of them to identify themselves and tell you who they are and why this particular office. And then we'll come back after they've done that for several minutes apiece and find out what they think is the most important issue that they, as commissioners, will be deciding in 2021. We're going to begin with the sole incumbent of this group, Joan Voss. Joan, welcome. And Bergen Grassroots is happy to have you here again. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck. Good evening. Thank you so much to Bergen Grassroots for hosting this important forum. I've done at least 10 of these, and I can honestly say I never imagined doing one virtually like this. It's been an honor to represent the people of Bergen County as a freeholder, and I'm proud of how our team has worked together to put our residents first, from eliminating veteran homelessness to protecting seniors from fraud and abuse, all the upgrades that we've made to our parks, and so much more. Of course, those who know me know well that my passion is education. Bergen County has some of the best schools in the entire country. I focused on how we can make them even better, particularly with more technology, including strengthening programs at Bergen Community College and expanding programs for special needs students. I was an educator for more than 41 years, and we often say a teacher's work is never done. I'm running for re-election because we need to keep Bergen County moving in the right direction, especially at this critical juncture, as we continue to battle COVID-19 and do everything we can to help and support our residents, small businesses, and communities. I'm honored to be here, and I look forward to sharing how Ramon and I will work together to strengthen the quality of life in Bergen County. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now we go to Simone Segunas.
Good evening. Thank you, Chuck, and thank you, Bergen Grassroots, for your hard work in organizing this forum. I'm honored to be here with my distinguished colleagues. I am who I am in large part because of the hard work and dedication of my parents. My father was a dentist and proud to be an Army veteran, but his true passion was fulfilled by his service as a Greek Orthodox priest. My mom's service was to her family, sacrificing her dreams by coming to America from Greece. She dedicated her life to raising my sister and myself due to my father's hard work ethic. Our parents modeled for us a life of service. My sister, her husband, and my nephew are all West Point graduates, proud to be serving our country. I chose MIT, where I pursued the profession that I am so passionate about, architecture. When designing a building, I look at the community it will be part of. My experience in appearing in front of land use boards showed me that applicants would be better served if these boards had design professionals on them. This was my springboard into public service. Knowing that I could use my skills to help Crestville's residents interpreting ordinances and reading plans, I joined the zoning board. After 6 years wanting to take a greater role in the master plan of our town, I moved up to the planning board. Then when I saw the planning board making recommendations to the mayor and council, I ran for council and was elected to serve 3 terms. During this time, whether drafting ordinances prompted by public input or interpreting or negotiating our low housing income obligation, I felt a need to better understand the language of the law and entered Rutgers Law School in 2014. There, I jumped at the opportunity to enroll in the Civil Justice Clinic and successfully represented disadvantaged tenants, children, and women. As a member of the New York and New Jersey bars and a practicing architect, I have brought these skills of both professions to the Crestwell Council, where through listening to the needs of our constituents, I ardently advocated for and am proud that Crestwell will soon have a new group home where developmentally challenged young adults can live independently, a new 9/11 memorial, and a new history museum. Today, when I see our crumbling infrastructure, diminishing transportation networks, housing policies, overcrowded streets, and programs that seem good, but forget about sustainable design, open space, and creating healthier neighborhoods, I have to stop, listen, and learn. I would like to enter the Board of Freeholders to begin every project as I always do, that the community stakeholders are the experts on their own lived experiences and dreams. This is why the definition of community is so important. Broken down, it's the common unity that brings us together. This is the standard I will bring to the Freeholder Board.
The third candidate who will introduce himself at this point is Ronald Kistner. Ronald?
Thanks, Chuck, and thank you to you, the Bergen Grassroots, for having to give me this opportunity. I'm really going to start from the beginning. I was born in Jersey City, the youngest of 5. Unfortunately, I lost my mom at 4 years old, and my dad raised 5 of us in Jersey City, being a truck driver for the county. He worked out in Secaucus at the hospital. My dad, I didn't realize at the time, was probably the greatest man ever in my life. We didn't have a car, we didn't have color TVs or anything like that. But my professional career, I've been lucky to work with some very wealthy men, individuals that were great people, but none were as great as my dad. So I'll start from that, and that kind of what leads me to want to be a public service. I'm really blessed, coming from where I came from to where I am now. I'm a very lucky guy. I've been married to my wonderful wife who puts up with me, Marie, for 35 years. I have 2 wonderful grown children that I'm really proud of, and they still like hanging out with me, Amanda and Bobby. I'm a grandfather for the first time. I got my Mackenzie Rose here. And anyone who hasn't been a grandparent yet, when they tell you how great it is, they're not lying. It's really that important. On to my professional or public service services. I'm proud of it. I'm currently serving my 3rd term as a Hasbrook Heights councilman. My current commissionership, I'm the Finance and Fire Commissioner. I'm actually missing the Fire Commissioner meeting tonight, but I did order my guys to Scott Packs, and they were in a Chiefs vehicle on Tuesday's council meeting, so they're happy with me. Employment-wise, I am the administrative officer and director of operations for a truly wonderful community here in Allendale, New Jersey. I've been in that position since 2015. My previous employment, I had the privilege and really great honor and meet wonderful people as Joan Voss, not Mrs. Voss, who really worked well with me. And I'm very proud of the things I accomplished as the county parks director. The projects I completed speak for themselves. I also received some wonderful honors. I was the NAAC Community Service Award winner in 2014. I was the Tina Conservatory Award for Excellent recipient, and the George Gunny Award recipient from the Bergen County Irish Association. I really count my blessings, again, being the county parks director. I'm a sports guy. I ran Meadowlands Junior Football League. I was the president. I was involved in the league for 20 years. I've coached. My children coached. I did some amateur boxing, won more than I lost. Sometimes doesn't look it, but yeah, I was really, the people I met as the county parks director, there's another reason I want to get back involved. It does no good if I get up there and I'm in the minority and I'm just there to, be a thorn in people's side. I'm here to hit the ground running and work with everybody. Thank you.
And our fourth candidate tonight is Ramon M. Hetchy. Ramon, glad to have you
Thank
here.
you, Chuck.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you to everyone. Thank you to Allison, Alan, and Bergen Grassroots, not just for hosting this forum, but for everything else that you do. Over the last 8 months, without question, Bergen County, like so many communities across our nation, has faced a challenge like no other. And I hope everyone watching this evening is home safe, and my heart goes out to the families of those who have lost loved ones to this terrible virus. A little bit about me. I was born in the Dominican Republic, and I moved to the United States as a child. My parents, being immigrants in search of the American dream, instilled a tremendous sense of gratitude and strong work ethic. And I was always inspired by their capacity for work, and mostly for their dedication to the importance of family. My wife, Tina, and I are very grateful to be the proud parents of 6 young children. And as a dad, I've always tried to set the example to my kids that true leadership is focused on helping people, not politics. It's all about service to others. That's how I governed as mayor of Ridgewood, and I hope to draw from my experience. And I am excited about the possibility to work alongside Joan on the Freeholder board and make sure all Bergen County families have strong opportunities and a bright future with excellent schools, thriving businesses, and good jobs, beautiful parks, and safe communities. So many of the same things that I enjoyed, and I can attribute my success in life myself. So I again looking forward to helping the residents of Bergen County. I look forward to discussing tonight the ways we can take on the challenges faced by people in our county, and I hope I can count on your support to represent you on the board of chosen freeholders, soon to be Bergen County commissioners, as you very aptly pointed out, Chuck. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramon. I think, folks, that you will recognize that we have 4 quite distinctive personalities with folks with really quite diverse experience and backgrounds that they're bringing to this task. And I think we now know them a bit better. As we move into substantive questions, I want to make sure that everybody knows that they can pose questions to this group. Alan Sohm will be gathering those questions, which you can send to us at chuck@bergengrassroots.org as we move through the next hour or so. I want to, now that we've heard and been introduced to these folks, ask them each to take an additional 3 minutes at this extraordinary time in the life of Bergen County. What is each of yours views about the greatest single challenge the county will face beginning when you would be brought into office on January 2021? And what leadership skills and experience are most needed to legislate and budget effectively to address that challenge? How did you discover this most difficult challenge? And we're going to, in this case, we're going to begin with Ron Kistner, and then we'll see who comes after that. Just 1 minute. Ron?
Thank you, Chuck.
Greatest challenge.
That's an easy one, even for me. It's going to be obviously COVID, and COVID. There's no playbook. There's no past history on how we're going to deal with this. Not only the country, municipalities, the county, the country, and the world. From public health responses to what looks like a second wave. How are we going to educate our children? My daughter's actually a school teacher. Joan will be very proud. And she tells me about the virtual and how difficult that stuff is, but educating our children going forward, making sure they get education and they're safe. The economic impact on businesses and our families, not, the local guys. I mean, any one of we go to the boulevards and Main Street, people have had nice, successful, small businesses that were important to our communities are struggling. How are we going to be able to assist and help them? Our families, not just with the disease, but the stuff that goes along with the disease, the fear, the the loneliness. There's so many different challenges. And again, finally, the budget. Revenues that were used to be taken for granted, those revenues aren't going to be there anymore. It's another world. People are not going to be commuting and transit income and ticket. There are so many different things budget-wise that we have no set rules on right now. But my background, both in the county and the municipal level, will give me insight and knowledge to help be part of this and talk about. I roll up my sleeves. The best way to address this, we're going to have to work together. It's not a Republican, it's not a Democrat, it's not an independent issue. It's a people's issue. And you got it. I think myself and the three other individuals running for this position, I feel confident that we're there for the right reason. You're there to help people. If you're there to be political, this is a too serious of a matter to play with. This is something we're going to be addressing for our future, our seniors, our youth, and ourselves. So people have to take it serious, roll up their sleeves, and we're going to be addressing this for a while. And what we might what might work this week might not work next week. We got to be willing to change and address issues as they come up. And we have to use the people who have intelligence on certain matters. I always say that, I don't need to know everything. I need to know, put people around me that do know things that I have confidence in and look for them for leadership and direction. I make the decisions. I make decisions after I get an education from the people that know this stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. And Ramon Heche, the greatest challenge that you would face if you are elected beginning in January 2021.
Chuck, without question, one of the greatest challenges that the county will face is COVID. Bergen County was the first county in New Jersey to be hit by the pandemic, the first death in the state. Due to our close proximity to New York City, it is not out of the realm of possibility that we could see a resurgence of COVID. When the pandemic hit, our leaders worked very hard to ensure we received needed federal funding to assist the residents of Bergen County. They secured over $160 million from the Federal CARES Act and $7 million to offset evictions and $5 million from HUD. And through the county's partnership with Newbridge Medical Center, mobile testing sites were made available countywide. These mobile testing sites, we had one here in Ridgewood, conducted over 35,000 tests. I was the mayor of Ridgewood when the pandemic hit, so I know full well the importance of having the proper leadership and taking the necessary steps. I know firsthand the importance of coordinating the efforts of the health director, public schools, and county departments. And we cannot forget the importance of supporting our small businesses. The county small business program awarded over $10 million to over 1,400 small businesses through the pandemic. And while I'm proud of how we have confronted and responded to COVID as a community, we have to keep in mind that there are still a lot of people struggling. Should a second wave of COVID come back, we will be the team that mobilizes the testing sites and deploys other resources the fastest and most effectively, saving both taxpayer money and lives. In times of crisis, the county needs to continue to provide essential services like health and transportation and ensure the safety of our children and our educators. The county health department serves more than half the towns in the county, not just in the times of crisis. There's an ongoing effort. The county serves as a chief health officer, ensuring towns have everything they need to keep our residents safe. Meals on Wheels and community transportation. The county delivers between 300 and 800 meals on wheels any given day, as well as 250 medical rides to doctors and the VA hospital. These services have become that much more essential in times of crisis. And of course, the county needs to be able to continue to secure PPE to keep everyone safe. The Consumer Services Division will be essential in fighting price gouging. So yes, Chuck, COVID is and will be still the most important issue for Bergen County. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramon. That was an interesting trip through the county. We go to Joan Voss, who's actually been looking at these questions right up to January 2021. What do you think you'll be facing as the biggest challenge, Joan, in 2021?
Without a doubt, as Ron and Ramon have stated, it's COVID, okay? It's going to be the biggest thing that we're going to have to deal with. When the pandemic first began, Bergen County was one of the hardest hit places in the country. And we had, as has been mentioned, the first coronavirus case in the state. At the county level, we knew we had to act quickly and decisively to control the spread of the virus, protect the health and safety of residents, and provide relief for local businesses and municipalities. We partnered with New Bridge Medical Center to conduct thousands of COVID-19 diagnostic and antibody tests. We had a community mobile testing unit program that went throughout the county. Many of the towns were successful in using it. We utilized $162 million in funding from the CARES Act, and we launched grant programs to provide direct relief to small businesses that were impacted by the shutdown and to assist our towns with fighting the virus and keeping residents safe on the local level. These funds have helped our local businesses that were forced to close their doors to cover expenses like rent, utilities, and hopefully keeping many of the people employed. Through our municipal relief program, all 70 towns were eligible to receive the help they needed to support frontline healthcare workers and first responders, including providing personal protective equipment and making improvements to local facilities to ensure social distancing guidelines were going to be met. While we still have work to do and must remain vigilant to prevent a second COVID-19 wave this fall, Bergen County has made significant progress, and the steps we have taken have allowed many businesses to reopen to some capacity. Our priority remains supporting the residents, businesses, municipalities, frontline healthcare workers, and first responders through these challenging and uncertain times. As we look ahead, the steps we are taking through these challenging times must continue, and we must continue to be vigilant and put us in the best possible position for next year's budget.
Thank you very much. And our fourth candidate to address this same question, what do you think will be the greatest challenge that you as a freeholder would face in January 2021, and why do you think you can address it effectively?
So our greatest challenge is going to be how to grow forward in light of the budget shortfalls resulting from COVID's impact on our local economy. The virus's long-term effects are starting to come into focus. The pandemic has caused both a public health crisis and an economic crisis. And although the federal and state governments should provide emergency fiscal relief to mitigate our shortfalls, we cannot wait and must face the challenge of how to revitalize our economy to bring back jobs. To do this, our priorities should be investing in infrastructure and transit-related projects, working on our roads, sidewalks, and bridges. We have to expand the delivery of virtual and online municipal services. We must invest in technology to reimagine, rework, change, and adapt how our buildings are being used, and stress that buildings are still necessary despite some tasks being conducted online, which may appropriately remain online. And we must implement smart technologies for reducing risk to help employees, teachers, and students return to their businesses and schools with confidence. The skills and experience most needed to legislate and budget effectively to address this challenge come from a leader who's capable of adapting to constantly changing circumstances. I am well suited to lead this charge. I've been trained as a problem solver. Just as construction is controlled by constraints, be it weather, budget, material delivery, or land use regulations, the success of my projects depends in harnessing the ability to adapt. It also comes from my communication skills. I may not know how to lay a brick, but I know how to direct the bricklayer towards the completion of a building. I embrace a common sense capacity to pursue the proper ends amidst constantly changing circumstances. How did I discover this challenge? By being observant, just driving around, looking at our main streets and seeing the empty storefronts. You know, we have the responsibility to act. I have the technical training needed to embark on initiatives on how to explore design strategies backed by science in order to assist the public health and economic situation. I am committed to embracing innovation and communication with our residents while remaining sensitive to the fact that the health, safety, and welfare of our constituents is of primary concern. Most of all, I know how to work in teams and can build consensus across diverse stakeholders, the skill needed to come to an equitable solution to this most difficult challenge of revitalizing our economy post-pandemic. Thank you.
Well, we have 4 candidates who know what the challenge is, and the way in which they would approach it has their own distinctive way of being there. The next section of this forum, we took a chance on. We posed 6 separate questions to these 4 candidates and said each of them could choose 2. We had the possibility that they would all choose the same 2, and we would have a less than complete look at what it is that the freeholders will be thinking about and doing. It turns out that as they work their way through those questions, all 6 questions will be addressed. Obviously, 2 of them are going to have to be addressed twice, but we're going to have all 6 questions addressed as we work through this process. And we had assigned as the first person to lead his discussion of those 2 questions to Ramon Hache. And I want to read for you the 2 questions that he has chosen to answer. All 4 candidates, all of you, have held elected positions in Bergen municipalities. Are there service areas that, from your experience, municipalities should work to take back from the county because the local government can better deliver equitably and effectively and more efficiently? And are there types of services for which shared service agreements with the county should achieve clear economies of scale? And should the county ever mandate such shared services, or should they always be voluntary and case by case? Ramon?
Chuck, it's an excellent question. And as mayor in Ridgewood, I've seen the impact of sharing services in our community. Ridgewood, like many towns, has an agreement that allows us to have our fleet of vehicles maintained and repaired through the county's mechanical services division and repair facility. And if you haven't had a chance to see the county's facility in Paramus, I suggest you take a look. It is simply state of the art. This allows us to save money without having to do it all ourselves or go out to a private vendor at possibly greater expense. And in no way at all we sacrifice safety or equality in any way. So whether it means sharing services between 2 or more municipalities, between a town and the county, or even a partnership with other counties, when done right, shared services are an important tool in our toolbox. For example, Bergen County's Division of Consumer Protection has become one of the best in the state, thanks to the strong investment in it in recent years. They have an agreement to provide services to Passaic County that not only gives them excellent services, but saves them money while also generating revenue for us to help taxpayers here too. So it's a win-win for both counties, and a great example of how local governments can work together to benefit everyone. And that is what shared services can be, a win-win. Why shoulder the burden of expensive resources alone when you can join forces with a capable and trusted partner? There are many more examples too. I mean, the county has helped save our towns more than $1 million through shared service agreements. They cut the red tape and made it very easy to borrow big equipment, like the county street sweeper or snow plow, since it doesn't make sense for every town to go out and buy its own. Towns have saved thousands by taking advantage of the county's bulk purchasing power, including for their energy needs. Towns can also use the Department of Public Safety's 911 dispatch services and Swift Reach emergency alert system. We all want to lower property taxes. It's something everybody talks about. And sharing services is really a true roadmap to real property tax relief. They can help us save taxpayers money while also improving services, improving public safety, and enhancing the quality of life of our residents. That doesn't mean having to sacrifice what makes each town special either. Ultimately, it's up to each town to decide if sharing services make sense for them, but we should do as much as possible to incentivize it and educate towns about the value of sharing services and the great taxpayer dollar-saving opportunities available to them.
Okay, thank you, Ramon. And your second question that you chose is the following one. Concern about social and racial justice, propelled by several incidents and subsequent protests, has focused increasingly on how the practices of law enforcement are implemented. Proposals for police reform are both diverse and intense. Murals and other projects have wide support in many municipalities. If elected, what specific policies, investments, or police practice oversight would you press the board to explore? Is this a set of issues where the initiative should come from the executive or sheriff, or may it properly come from the county's legislature for which you are a candidate? Ramon?
Chuck, as both an immigrant and a minority, this is a very important topic for me, and I support the many Bergen County residents who have joined this national movement for social and racial justice and have peacefully demonstrated for change. But let me also be clear that we can never condone violence or destruction of property. It was heartening to see that across New Jersey, we saw residents marching peacefully side by side with law enforcement to stand up against racism. That was great to see. This is not a moment for silence or inaction. This is the time to stand up and not just demand, but work towards change. We have to put in the work and continue having this conversation to build a more equal and just society, because hate, racism, and bigotry must never have a home in Bergen County. We are fortunate to count on the leadership of Bergen County Sheriff Anthony Curitan, his work with the NAACP, and the many years of service in law enforcement make him a tremendous resource in the conversation. In Bergen County, we're fortunate not only for our diversity, but we're fortunate that the vast majority of our men and women in law enforcement are committed to protecting and serving us with honor, integrity, and fairness. You know, this has been this idea thrown around about defunding the police. I do not support defunding the police. We need to make sure our brave officers have the resources and the training that they need to protect our communities and stay safe on the job. And we must continue to support community policing policies that build trust between law enforcement and the people they serve. And I know that currently there's an effort underway in Teaneck with the sheriff's office, where they're working and they're bringing in more officers of color to serve in the community. I'm so proud of the diversity in the county, and we have large minority communities. We should always celebrate our diversity, which makes us so strong and unique. We need a diverse set of leaders, diversity to the board. And as I've always said, the leadership in government needs to resemble its constituents. And as leaders, we have the responsibility to help bring people together. And unfortunately, right now, we have a president who seems more keen on dividing than uniting people. And I know I don't have as much influence as that guy does, but in my power as a county official, I will always work towards uniting our communities and empowering those who feel their voices not being heard. Thank you.
And thank you, Ramon, for that. Our next candidate to take on 2 questions of his choice is Ron Kistner. And the 2 he has chosen begin with the shared services question and moves on to questions related to the way in which the county does open space. But I'll let him articulate the question, and you got 5 minutes, Ron.
Thanks, sir. Articulate, I don't know, but I'll do my best. All right, number 2, shared services is one of the best ways to provide residents with quality service while keeping budgets leveled. Not only county to municipality shared service, but municipality to municipality sharing is important as well. I'm not talking about big photo op shared services that no one really uses, but politicians can announce that they have in place. Here are a few examples I'm currently part of. The county's mosquito control, a great group of guys under the direction of Warren Stanginger, who learned from Pete Pacino, who retired a few years ago, but I worked with him as the county parks director. The borough of Allendale has many streams that get clogged from time to time, like with the storm a few weeks ago in August. I contact mosquito control. They send a crew out to delitter the following, delitter following DEP regulations that they have the license for. I then provide DPW workers and some equipment like a loader or something to remove the debris in a proper manner once it's on the out of the streams. I have a wonderful working relationship with the Northwest Bergen Sewer Authority. A representative of the authority is actually my licensed sewer operator for the borough of Allendale. They inspect and jet approximately 1/3 of the municipality per year. And since we have entered this agreement, we have only had 1 actual backup that was our responsibility to take care of in 4 years. Brings me to preventive maintenance. Preventive maintenance is something I'm very big on, but sometimes it gets lost when you're dealing with budget restraints. That's short-sighted. And if I got on the freeholder or the commissioner, I would try to influence department heads to implement more shared service, preventive maintenance type of projects, because in the long run, that saves money. Onto the municipality shared services. It can be as easy as opening up your DPW yard to give another DPW an 8-inch gasket at 3 a.m, so they're not scrambling to get to a supply house to open up, to get the repair fixed and the residents, service back in a faster manner. As elected officials, the responsibility is to provide the support to individuals we hire to do the day-to-day management positions that they are confident that they can do their jobs. The acknowledgement of public workers who take pride in their job and think of ways to improve our towns and county is so important, and that's something that should be done more often. I've been a manager of people for over 35 years, and I've learned a few things. I'm only as good as the crew I put around me. I don't need to know everything, but I need to have confidence that the people I look to, Francis, do. And getting people's opinion on something you are going to ask them to do, makes them feel part of it. Finally, if it does go wrong, the buck stops with me, and I take the responsibility for what goes wrong. So shared service, when I talk about shared service, it's not fancy. It's working with people and having an open dialogue with different people to be able to get things done. Open space, the other question I took on was open space and the way it's implemented. Currently, I'm not really involved, but I did have the privilege of being part of the Open Space Committee from 2011 to the end of 2014 as the Bergen County Parks Director. I was proud to serve the members of the board at that time. No one cared what political party you were. Everyone just wanted to do the best job possible. I believe Adam Strobel is still overseeing that committee, and if that is the case, I can assure you it is being managed as good as it could possibly be. I met with so many wonderful people who had such different interests, and I learned so much. I was really blessed. As I said, I'm a sports guy. I can build a field. I can stripe a field. I'll match my skills building a football, baseball field, or putting up lights as I've done physically with anybody. But when it came to, I always saw the restoration of the Garrison House in Fairlawn and the Steuben House in River Edge. Projects I never would have thought about prior to be on the committee or the county parks director, and improving the funds for those projects. Another example, when you talk about open space, Adam was instrumental on the purchase of several parcels of land in Mawa that I helped get approved. That was so important to connecting the beautiful natural areas. And again, we would go on these tours, and you didn't realize you were 20 minutes from the George Washington Bridge. You thought you were in the Midwest, or it was just beautiful scenic areas, and we're so blessed in Bergen County to have those areas. Finally, as the Parks Director, open space funds were used for the amazing playground at Van Storm Park as an example. I would love to be involved again as a freeholder or a commissioner, and if I had the privilege of being elected in a few weeks. Thank you. How's that for timing?
How about that?
Pretty good, huh?
Simone Segunis, you have chosen two questions which we've not heard about to this point. Let me read the first question, then you tell me when you want the second one. Does the explosion in unemployment levels and the threat of pandemic-related recession change either the nature or priority that should be given to the particular role that the county plays in education? Should the Board of Commissioners or freeholders wait for the county's educational leaders to recommend shifts in county vocational programs or curriculum? Or should the board's expertise and your own expertise play an active role in shaping the evolution of county education policy in a post-pandemic economic revival in Bergen County?
Thank you, Chuck. Yes, the explosion in unemployment levels and the threat of pandemic-related recession changes both the nature and the priority that should be given to the particular role that the county plays in education. In fact, everything, not only education, should be reassessed and prioritized. In light of unemployment with lost family income, we need to make sure our students have the tools necessary to access the new normal of remote learning. Providing laptops is only part of the solution. Parents are struggling with the high cost of upgrading home internet services, which is unfortunate as this feature is no longer a luxury, but a necessity. And if COVID-19 has accelerated the trend for home learning, it has also revealed its limitations. Our students' success will still depend on face-to-face interaction and collaboration. Therefore, we must invest in safely bringing all of our students and teachers back to the classroom by upgrading our building's mechanical systems, which not only protect our students, but our parents and taxpayers from paying the price in poor energy and in obsolete technology. And the board should not wait for the county's educational leaders to recommend shifts in vocational programs or curriculum. Our vocational schools are closely tied to our job market. Our graduates are inextricably linked to our communities. And because the board is elected by our communities, we must bring their real life concerns and recommendations to our educational leaders to ensure that they make shifts in programs and in the curriculum which meet the changing needs of local industry. As I mentioned earlier, one of our top priorities to stimulate economic growth is investing in innovative technology. Our county's economic growth depends on attracting talented, diversified students to our vocational schools. By playing an active role, the county can ensure our educational leaders take a pragmatic approach in shaping their educational curriculum in a post-pandemic economic revival so that their students master skills that are needed in the workforce.
Thanks. And you add a second question, a little bit different and kind of focused than what we've been looking at. Have you identified any areas where the county's tough experience with COVID and its focus on pandemic response has caused it to lose focus on issues where the county had provided innovative leadership in the recent past? For example, for years, opioid addiction growth had been an area of county innovation, but in 2020 received relatively little attention. Are new and reformed public transport projects still getting the attention they need? Is Bergen's planning process poised to respond to pandemic-accelerated demographic and job location changes? If what you see as a lack of focus is occurring in respect of an issue or an area of service where you have experience, is it the role of you as a commissioner to redirect the attention of the executive branch to that set of problems? Is the formal board meeting where such issues should be raised? Simone?
So the area that I would like to identify where the county has lost focus is public transit. Having served on Cresskill zoning and planning boards, I'm mindful that public transportation, it's not only a means of movement, but it's a service vital to the health, safety, and welfare of our residents. The benefits are expansive. They range from public health to household finances. It's affordable, empowers our residents, especially our seniors, to be independent, and positively impacts our environment. Our quality of life will be diminished without better public transportation. Moreover, without investing in public transportation, our affordable housing will not be successful. New and reformed public transit projects are not getting the attention they need. Improvements must be implemented not only through increased vehicular services, but through a variety of public transit options supported by transportation infrastructure projects. Specific improvements must include accessible walking and biking routes to transportation hubs that are equipped with safe waiting areas, parking facilities, and amenities that encourage use. And to encourage use, we have to make sure our workers and riders feel safe and cared for. As to whether Bergen's planning process is poised to respond to pandemic accelerated changes, this is where I can help in reforming our policies with a focus on cleanliness, wellness, and air quality. Bergen County suburbs are well positioned. Not only are young professionals moving their families from New York, but a growing number of New York City firms are seeking satellite locations in our suburbs in an effort to reduce density at their offices and keep employees closer to home. We can bring these people to our suburbs, and New York can become, and New Jersey can become a kind of a hub and spoke model, which would be an economic boom for our county. If we see the pandemic has resulted in a loss of focus, it is our role as commissioners to redirect the Bergen County executive's attention. This being said, we have to look back at our Hudson-Bergen Light Rail Northern Branch Corridor project. Although serving Hudson County, the Bergen extension would add stations that are much needed and alleviate the automobile traffic. We must also revisit whether its planned termination in Englewood is truly looking forward. I don't think these issues need to be raised at the board meeting. Respectful of the county executive and the public, these issues should be deliberated prior to the meeting so that we can tangle out our differences in order to move forward and earn the trust of our constituents. Publicly criticizing our colleagues in order to advance our own interests will only hurt the people we are trying to serve.
Good timing, folks. Again, that's really something. Joan Voss, you took the first and tough question. Let me read it to you. For the first time in 4 years, the 2020 Bergen County budget grew very significantly. The board met for 11 separate sessions in May and June, where the department heads described how the pandemic impact had affected both the department's expected revenues and its expenditures. The final budget assumes very major state and federal support. If that support is not forthcoming, where should you look, or where should we look to address the shortfalls? Should we focus on specific departments or areas that we have to receive major cuts, or should the cuts be across the board? Should we seek to increase taxes by working with the legislature to give the county more tax levying direct discretion? Or should we continue to run a deficit, assuming current shortfalls can be addressed when the health and welfare needs return to more normal levels? Joan?
Thank you. Working on the budget is, I guess, our biggest task. And, my colleagues and I on the Freeholder board have successfully delivered fiscally responsible budgets while investing in the priorities of Bergen County families. We strengthen education, social services for veterans and seniors, and so much more. When the pandemic hit, our approach didn't change. We also knew that we had to act quickly and decisively to control the spread of the virus, protect the health and safety of residents, and provide relief for local businesses and municipalities. As we all remember, Bergen County was probably the hardest hit in the country at first. We received $162 million in funding from the Federal CARES Act. This allowed us to launch grant programs to provide direct relief to small businesses impacted by the shutdown and assist our towns with fighting the virus and keeping residents safe on the local level. These funds have helped our local businesses that were forced to close their doors to cover expenses like rent, utilities, and keeping the residents employed. Through our municipal relief program, all 70 towns were eligible to receive the help they needed to support our heroes on the front line, the healthcare workers, the first responders, and to provide personal protective equipment. We also partnered with Newbridge Medical Center to conduct thousands of COVID-19 diagnostic and antibody tests through a community mobile testing program that went all over the county. We've increased the number of meals we're delivering to residents through our Meals on Wheels program. And we received about $12 million in federal dollars from the HUD to help low-income families. As we enter the flu season, we must remain vigilant to prevent a second wave. Our priority remains supporting our residents, businesses, municipalities, frontline healthcare workers, and first responders through these challenging times. We must maintain the critical services we rely on. The federal dollars we received this year are helping to meet our community's needs, including supporting our small businesses, stimulating the economy, and reimbursing county and local costs related to COVID. It's important to note that these are temporary costs and programs. However, by doing the right thing now and supporting our communities and our small businesses, we'll be in the best possible position for next year and beyond. Next year's budget will look much more like 2019.
Thank you very much. It didn't surprise me too much that you asked for your second question to be the first one that Simone took on. Does the explosion in unemployment levels and the threat of pandemic-related recession change either the nature or priority that should be given to the particular role that the county plays in education? Should the board wait for the county's educational leaders to recommend shifts in county vocational programs or curriculum? Or should the board's expertise and or your own expertise play an active role in shaping the evolution of county education policy in a post-pandemic economic revival in Bergen County?
Thank you. This is my favorite question. As an educator for 41 years and someone passionate about and deeply involved in educational policy at the county level, this is a question I've given a lot of thought these past several months. First, let me say that the COVID-19 pandemic is really two crises, a health emergency and an economic one. We need to tackle both with the same vigilance. With my heart, it goes out to everyone who lost their job or is out of work temporarily over these last 7 months. There are things we can do. We've worked very hard with the federal CARES money we received to help people in a number of ways. That includes helping local businesses stay in business. And if they had to close the door, we tried to help people keep employed. Bergen Community College, the jewel in the crown of community colleges, also received more than $4 million through the CARES Act to help meet students' needs. More than 2,300 Bergen Community College students were awarded emergency financial grants to help cover costs, including education, food, housing, and medical care. So while we are doing everything we can to keep people working and help people who are out of work, we also know education has always been and will always be the key to the future. Even before the pandemic, we made it a priority to strengthen vocational training. This is something very near and dear to my heart. Not only are we strengthening vocational training, but we are establishing apprentice programs and continuing education programs at Bergen Community College that has been useful in helping people prepare for the kinds of jobs that we need desperately. They have nursing programs and other healthcare fields, business and technology, teaching, to name just a few. The Bergen Community College is the key to our future. Even before the pandemic, we made a priority of vocational training and apprentice programs. Our children's future is always at the front of our minds, but we know from previous economic downturns, this is a time when people are thinking about going back to school. It's so important that education remains accessible and affordable to adults and seniors who want to go back to enhance their training or make a career change. And this afternoon, I know my time is up, but this afternoon, I got the best news I can possibly tell you in education. There is an organization called Niche.com that is a database, and it has over 100 million people participating. And they rated the best public high school in the United States. And the best public high school in the United States is our own Bergen Academy, #1 in the country. And our technical school, which I'm very, very fond of, is rated #2 in New Jersey and 44 in the country. So we have outstanding programs that I'm so pleased. And I have to thank Dr. Lerner, who is the superintendent, for being such a wonderful, wonderful superintendent. And, I think, as I said, I jumped out of my skin when I got this news this afternoon. So I want to share it with
Can I say something to Joan on that? I do interview students for admissions to MIT. We get the cream of the crop applying from those two schools. So I'm so happy to hear that. That's wonderful. Congratulations.
As I said, it was the best news I've heard through this whole 2020 year of pandemic.
Well, actually, what Joan and Simone just did is sort of what we were sort of hoping the next few minutes would look like. What you've heard.
We're not rebutting.
What you've heard is, a pretty extraordinary walk through a very major set of important policy questions to be taken on by the people who will legislate for this county. Now, if you have questions to ask of them at this point, we hope that you will send them quickly now to Alan Sohn at chuck@bergengrassroots.org. But for the next few minutes, the four candidates who are participating here can either support or rebut or add dimension to what you've just heard as this group went through those 6 questions. And I'm not going to try to even, I'll just let you at it for the next few minutes. Did you have things you would like to say to each other about any of those issues?
I'd like
Everybody,
to add, I'm sorry, Ron. I guess
Yeah,
we're the
ladies first.
underdogs here, so.
ladies first, go ahead.
I'd like to add to Ramon's feelings on the social and the racial justice. And I just want to offer a different perspective of looking at how social and racial justice should be addressed and looked at from my perspective, which is comes from someone that's very much engaged with the people that she works with. I think I don't think it's a problem that is initiated, as you said, by our president. It's something that we're tending to exacerbate, and the media is not really helping. So what we need to do as constituents that care for our people is we need to engage with them. I was in the Dominican Republic, Ramon, and I was building a house for a needy family, but my instructor said, you are building the house with them. You're not building it for them. And you're going to forget everything you know about architecture, and you're going to use their building materials and their methods of construction. And it built a sense of sweat equity. These people were so proud of their new home that we helped them build. And we were gifted with a premise that you don't do things for people, you do things with them, and you engage and you empower them. So my thoughts on the discussion is that we can promote greater justice in this country by engaging with our constituents, talking to them, finding out what's wrong. But the main thing we need to do as parents or educators, as elders, is instill a sense of pride in our youth. Let them be proud to be Americans, just as we were raised. All of our parents came from, my parents are immigrants as well, but I was, raised to give back to the hand that feeds you, as we are all doing as public servants. But we need to bring back our faith and our patriotism and our respect for one another. That's more important to me than rallying and protesting and having demonstrations, which tends to really tear us apart rather than unite us.
Ramon, she addressed some of that to you. Do you want to have any response to what she said?
Sure. I mean, look, I'm not suggesting Donald Trump initiated systemic racism in this country. It existed well before he took office. It existed well before he was even born. But as a leader of the free world, he's had the opportunities to address it, and was even given the opportunity in the first presidential debate to denounce racism and white supremacy in the U.S. And instead, he provides a coded message to the base. So, look, it's not about laying the blame. It's about finding the solution, and it's about marching with for the BLM movement and watching people exercising the right to the freedom of speech and doing so arms in arms with our police. It's not creating the divisions within the police and our residents. As I mentioned before, I think Sheriff Anthony Curitan is a tremendous ambassador for bridging any of the differences in the discussion. I was at a rally here in Ridgewood with him, and to see him there, and to see our chief of police, Jackie Lutke, who's also a tremendous leader and very much engaged and stands up for social justice. To watch both of them, stand there with the protesters peacefully and having the dialogue. That's what's important. We want people who are helping the dialogue, not those who are driving the divide.
Ron, you almost got the first shot, but
Not a problem. Real simple. I want to thank the other three people on this forum, and and then maybe the national people can learn something from us. We're here. We're looking for the same opportunity, but even before we started the forum, we were talking just among ourselves, and Joan said, because we get along. I'll put it this way. I did a lot of amateur boxing. My brother was my manager, my trainer, and he never trash talked the other guy, because the person who got in the ring, you give him credit, because if he beats you, if you trash talk and he beats you, you lost to a chump. And if you beat a guy who's you trash talk, you should beat him anyway. This is we're all got the honor, the nerve to come in and try to do what we think we can do to help our county and our residents. And we should be, I compliment my other three members here. It serves no, and the same thing if I have was privileged enough to be elected to the commissioner. Again, it serves no purpose to get up there. We'd be in a minority, I'd be in a minority, to be there to say no to things. Work together, ask questions. I kind of have a history, and I think people who know me have that background. But I just want to thank the other three members, and I think this is the way maybe some of the people on the higher level should handle things. Thank you.
Joan, do you want to? You're the only one who hasn't spoken in this piece.
Well, that's a change. I have to agree. We all four of us love this country very, very much. And I think all of us came from families that were very good role models for us. I know that my parents were very much involved in the community. Everybody in my family has served in the military. I feel it's my duty to do as much good as I possibly can, in terms of government or education or whatever. And I think that we have to instill in a younger generation the love of this country and all of the opportunities that it gives to us, and that no other country in the world has had the advantages that we have had. And I would like to see more, what should I say, respect for other people, respect for other people's ideas. You don't have to agree, but you have to be civil, and you have to be a listener. And, that's very, very important. And I think this group has demonstrated that quite well. And I wish that other people would emulate us.
A proud group of candidates, that's for sure. I'd like to turn the next 20 minutes over to Alan Sohn, who has been fielding questions that have been received by on email. I don't know what they are. You don't know what they are, but Alan, the floor is yours. And each candidate will get, as you know, why don't you explain how that's going to work?
Thank you, Chuck, and thank you, candidates, for your candid input so far. We've received many questions from the public. We've gone through those questions. We've tried to select the questions that are most relevant to the public at large. In some cases, we will ask the question almost word for word. In some cases, we've combined a couple of different questions to make one question. We'll go through the individual first to ask the question. We'll have 2 minutes. Simone, will start with you with the first question. Then thereafter, the other three candidates will have 1 minute to respond, either to what the first person said or whatever they see fit for that question. Simone, we'll start with you. The first question relates to how we will be voting this year. There have been concerns raised nationwide about vote by mail, but there are concerns specifically in Bergen County. Many residents in Teaneck specifically, where there are 2 congressional districts, received defective or damaged ballots, but that had the wrong congressional district. Do you have confidence that the vote by mail ballot that we will be having this year will be conducted effectively and efficiently? 2 minutes, and then 1 minute for each of the others to respond.
Based on what I understand from what's been reported, no, I don't have confidence that it's going to be effective. I've already encountered several families that have thrown it away, not knowing what it was, although we've been told and informed that look for it, do not throw it away. It's been broadcasted to our phones. The officers have been telling us, the police, if we didn't get it, to contact the county executive. So I think the county has been very helpful in trying to reach out to its constituents to try to prevent any of these glitches that they have forecasted. But it's not an easy thing to assess. I talked to many people that said, why can't we just go to the polls? We go to Trader Joe's. Why can't we just wait online and go to the polls? So, the polling machines people trust. The mail-in ballots, they're not sure of. Several families have received several ballots, I think based on different properties that they own in different locations. This is again what I've been hearing. So the answer to that is simple for me. I think it's going to be a tedious process for our officials that are working the election over at the county to do the counting. I experienced actually a recount in my last election, and I was able to see how some ballots were filled out when there was a contest, and you can see that there is a little bit of a misunderstanding on how to properly do things, and sealing the envelope and dropping them off. So I'm hoping for the best, but I think it's going to be something that would have been better resolved if we were able to go to the polls like we're able to go to the supermarkets.
Thank you, Simone. Ms. Voss, 1 minute on vote by mail.
Well, I think that we have really tried to tell people through podcasts and through various ways how easy it is to vote by mail. And I have to say that, there are some older people that I deal with who were very reluctant. And I said, it is so clearly spelled out, the steps that you have to take. And that I have confidence in our people here at the county about counting the ballots and things of that sort. And I'm not worried about, the election in terms of fairness and getting the votes in.
Thank you, Ms. Voss. Mr. Kistner?
I have confidence in the people who work at the county voting area, but no, I don't think it should. It's America. You should have the option. If elderly or some people want to use the mail-in ballot, they should be allowed to use it. But if someone wants to go to the polls and vote, they should be allowed to go. They should be put the policies in place, and people should have been allowed to go to the polls and vote. Simple as that.
Thank you, Ron. Mr. Hatchie, 1 minute.
Yeah, I just want to remind everyone that anyone who wants to vote in person can still do so. And while vote by mail hasn't been perfect, and I believe there was even an issue with some ballots in Teaneck, we're talking about less than 1% of the ballots being impacted. And I realize that there's more work to be done until it's perfect. And I can't think of a better leader than Bergen County Clerk John Hogan to help us through these issues. But there's absolutely no proof that vote by mail is prone to rampant abuse. It is safe, it is secure, and we should be taking the time to educating our voters instead of feeding them with fear. Utah and other states have used an all vote by mail system and has never had a problem. And again, you can vote at the polls on paper because they need to ensure you did not vote by mail, and it's only provisional because they need to ensure that you didn't vote by mail. So, but in terms of having the ability of having back to normal vote in person elections, there's simply not enough poll workers. And seniors who normally work the polls didn't want to work because high risk with COVID. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Ms. Voss, and just as a clarification, this is a question about blue laws. The blue laws that are in effect in Bergen County are not a county law, they are a state law. Bergen County is the last of the state's 21 counties that retains these state blue laws. Do you support the blue laws? Do you see their repeal, or do you think there should be changes? 2 minutes.
I support the blue laws 100%. Okay. I've seen 3 referendums in my lifetime to do away with the blue laws, and every one of those referendums went down. The people of Bergen County love the blue laws. We are such a business place that many of the towns really need a day of rest, literally a day of rest. And so I can't foresee the blue laws ever being, taken down. I don't think that the people will stand for it. We have 21 counties, and if you don't like Bergen County's blue laws, then you can take a ride.
Many people do. Mr. Kistner, 1 minute to respond to the blue laws issue.
I agree with Joan. Sunday, it's time to spend with the family, do my honey-do list. Yeah, I work a lot of hours during the week. I'm still at work right now. You get your shopping done. Yeah, you can get your shopping done the other 6 days. Sunday should be time to spend with the family and just enjoy some peace and quiet. And yeah, again, and Joan, as you said, we all say, if you have to go, we're a small state. You need to go shopping on Sunday for something. Hudson, Essex, they're all got shopping centers. You take a ride with the family, but I agree the blue laws should stay the way they are in Bergen County.
Mr. Hatchie, again, 1 minute on blue laws.
Absolutely support them, especially in the area, near Paramus and Ridgewood. As a kid, we never had these types of Saturdays where you just simply can't get around Route 17, Route 4. It's about a quality of life issue for families. And we also have empirical evidence from businesses. We had a business here, was a national chain, came to Ridgewood, and they were very concerned about being closed on Sunday. You fast forward a year or two later, that's the store that everybody wanted to work in because they wanted to have Sundays off, and it also became one of the most profitable stores for the chain. So I support it wholeheartedly.
Ms. Tsagunis, 1 minute.
And I also support the blue laws. We have options, just like my colleagues mentioned. We can go elsewhere if we need to go shopping on a Sunday, but I do believe in the solemnity and the quietness of a Sunday. I think everything should also be closed on Thanksgiving. It's the one holiday that we as Americans celebrate together. And I feel that having that day of rest is important, and that day of quietness on our highways and alleviating the congestion and the traffic. It's something that hopefully we'll get to, see more of, with alternative means of, post-pandemic planning. Maybe the alleviation of the stress of the auto might, actually play into effect. But yes, I fully support the blue laws. Thank you.
Thank you all. Mr. Kistner, again, this will be a question directed to you. You will have 2 minutes to respond, and then 1 minute each. In your previous or current elected positions, what have you done to increase diversity in government employment?
I guess more in my volunteer, I've ran numerous youth programs. The Meadowlands Junior Football program, I started as a coach, became executive board member, and then became the president. The diversity in that league, I'm very proud of. We have brought children in, as different families move into the communities, and children haven't played football. We set programs up to actually teach the children. They come from different sports, who like soccer, who liked other things, and they saw American football, and their fathers, especially their fathers and moms, or some of the families, were single families, and the mom was intimidated by, oh, we can't play football. We gave them training. We showed them the games, and the league is still is one of the best junior football leagues in the state. A number of the high school teams have won state championships, and I do take that credit for the diversity in those leagues based on my leadership.
Mr. Hatchie, 1 minute on diversity.
Again, diversity, very important to me. And, one of the first things I did when I became mayor was reaching out to local African-American churches, and met also with a Korean pastor, just to get, everyone in the community more engaged in our boards and committees and a lot of the volunteer activities that we have in and around the community. Ridgewood has done a tremendous job of really fostering diversity, and we hired the first paid female firefighter in Bergen County. Very recently, we hired the first 2 Latino police officers in the police department in Ridgewood. At one point in time, we had female borough administrator, mayor, and police chief. There are a lot of things that, a lot of ways that the community has grown. Obviously, there's always room for improvement in any way, but I've always reached out to everyone. Very proud to have hosted the first pride flag raising in Ridgewood 2 years ago, and it's become a tradition now. Thank you.
Ms. Tsagunis, 1 minute on diversity.
When I was on with the mayor and council, we would reach out to our schools. We would bring the second graders, the youth, into our council chambers and let them see how we interacted, and actually have them switch roles with us, giving young ladies aspiring to become maybe a future mayor, or people from different ethnic groups, large group of Asian families in our town, the opportunity to have their children see government in action and influence their decisions to become strong civic leaders, instilling them, a sense of pride. We really listening to our constituents by bringing community members in. We heard about the needs of our developmentally challenged young adults and our homeless, which we do have, in our food bank. So basically just listening to our constituents.
Thank you all. Again, this next question addressed to
I need
Mr.
Joan.
Diversity.
Okay. Go ahead, Joan, sorry.
This is important to me. Okay. I live in one of the most diverse towns in New Jersey, Fort Lee. I mean, we have over 60 different groups and every single religion you can imagine. And I worked very, very hard to make sure that the diverse population was represented, especially in our police department. Since I taught many of the people in town, I wanted to have the proportion of people, say for a particular ethnic group, represented on the police department. I worked very, very hard to get people on our town council and on our Board of Education. And I think that we are very representative of the people in my town, and hopefully we're doing a good job here on the county, because we do want diversity and we do want people represented fairly.
Thank you again, and on to the next question, which will be directed to Mr. Hatchie. We've certainly heard from all the candidates about how hard Bergen County had been hit in the first wave of COVID. We basically were hit by the tip of the spear. From a public health perspective, what is the county's hands-on role in helping forestall a second wave of COVID-19?
Sure. I mean, there's a number of ways, there are many fronts to the COVID pandemic. In part, education, making sure that we're all aware of the necessary precautions that we need to take, educating our children, providing PPE to keep our employees safe. But the partnership with Newbridge Medical Center is a very important one, because it all gets back to testing, and we can only tackle the problem once we have confirmed where it lies. And testing is tremendous. We just this past weekend we had another testing site set up here in Ridgewood over the weekend by the county. So we cannot invest enough resources to make sure that we're able to tackle this pandemic head on.
Ms. Segunis, 1 minute on what you think the county should do to help forestall a second wave.
I think the county is doing its job as it stands now, and just to continue listening and learning from the experts and continuing to get out material to the constituents, to trying to keep reminding them, wash their hands, wear face coverings. I think, the fact that we are all in this together, it means something. And I think the county just needs to continue in order to prevent a second wave, emphasizing the fact that we're not through this yet. And also we need to prepare for the next pandemic. Strains keep changing as the virus continues on its path. And we just need to make sure that we don't want to frighten the people, but we want them to be prepared. So there should be concern. And that concern can be dealt with, as it's been doing now, through proper information, disseminating materials as they've been doing, and just making sure that the public, maintains a sense of trust and faith in them.
Thank you. Ms. Voss, 1 minute on COVID.
I'm sorry, I was distracted. Would you repeat the question, please?
Again, what steps should the county be taking to forestall a second wave?
Well, I think we're doing a tremendous amount. We have put all kinds of things in the county building and making sure that businesses are keeping social distancing. We're staying on top of what's happening in the communities in terms of the opening of school and things. We're doing things in a very thoughtful way. I can't tell you how many stores I go into where they have, 6 feet distancing, stickers and sanitary things. I love to go to the ShopRite because they have all the wipes. You wipe down your basket, you wipe down everything. People are really, really taking this serious, and the county is definitely taking it very seriously. And as I said, the county executive is out there making sure that we have all of the testing and that we have this wonderful relationship with the Newbridge Hospital to have mobile testing done. And, we're really on top of it, I think.
Thank you, Ms. Voss. Mr. Kistner.
Very simple. I agree with everybody there. The county is doing a great job. It still comes down to people's actions. I have my hand sanitizer, but you can have all you can have all the policies in place. If people are not going to follow them, they're not going to be successful. It's still personal responsibility. It's not the county's responsibility to keep me safe. It's my responsibility to keep me safe. And that's how people should look at this stuff. I appreciate the help, but local officials, school officials, communicate. It's a team effort. It can't be that work of Mr. Tedesco or the 7 Freeholder members. They're not here to hold my hand. Give me the information, make sure, and then my job is to take that information and do the right thing. And that's being an adult, and that's how all people should deal with this. Not, the government's got to take care of you. No, I got to take care of myself. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. Dr. Powers is demonstrating mask use. For all those unfamiliar with how to operate a mask, he will demonstrate a seatbelt use in his next part of the safety presentation.
Actually, it is. I want to point out that although I wish we had had more time for some more questions, I think this is a useful part of the discussion. But I noticed that all of you had something to say about every one of the questions. We're going to give you each 2.5 minutes each to wrap up with anything you'd like to say to communicate to all those who are watching tonight why and how you would function as a commissioner of the county of Bergen. And we begin on that with Ms. Segunis.
Thank you again, Chuck and Bergen Grassroots. So whether it be COVID or recovery assistance after Hurricane Sandy, my professional training equips me with the knowledge and skills to mitigate, prepare for, respond to, and recover from the impacts of disruptions in the built environment. Today, living in a state of constantly changing circumstances, I feel it's timely for someone with my design experience, coupled with my ability to build consensus across diverse stakeholders, to run for Freeholder. With a future that is unknown, people should be concerned, but they should not be afraid. My ability to sweat the details while never losing sight of the big picture and to be able to quickly respond with innovative ideas is needed in our legislative discussions. It is a skill that I will bring to the board and one which will keep our county growing in the right direction. Whether an architect or a lawyer, I was taught to view the world through the lens of my clients and to care for their health, safety, and welfare. It is under this lens that I ask, if we care so much about climate change and air pollution, conservation, and other environmental issues, why are we increasingly densifying our garden state, which has earned us the title of the most densely populated state in America? And if we care so much about fair share housing, why are we letting every parcel of vacant land be filled in order to meet a court-ordered mandated housing obligation derived from a group in Trenton, most of whom have never visited our municipalities? Policy-making decisions belong in the hands of our municipal and county legislative branches, who best know their constituents, are elected, and are held accountable for their actions, not in the branch of our judiciary. Moreover, are we being fair when we're not including the voices of those we're trying to house? Or is the language just trying to promote a goal which is not truly equitable? Finally, if we care about efficiency and energy costs, we also need to invest in human costs. We need to invest in buildings that are well and safe and combat the isolationism that this COVID has caused. Let's look at our county road widening easement. Why can't that be a shared streets program? The Rails for Trails program that our advocates are advocating, should we get the Bergen Light Rail coming through, that should be a Rails with Trails program. This is what I'll advocate for.
And Joan Voss, can you finish us off tonight with what you want us to know?
Okay. Tonight, my running mate, Ramon Hache, and I offered a vision of our future that we believe we can deliver opportunities and strengthen the quality of life for every man, woman, and child in this county, where children will be able to grow up healthy in safe communities and receive a world-class education, where our seniors can age in place and enjoy their golden years alongside their families, where we honor the brave service of our veterans and ensure that they have access to job opportunities and health care close to home. But we celebrate our diversity. The county is very, very diverse. We have a very diverse employment policy. We celebrate people's ethnicities. We have so many flag raisings every single year to celebrate all the different ethnic groups that make up Bergen County. We have an LGBTQ advisory committee. We have an African American advisory committee. And we were one of the first places to celebrate Juneteenth. So we really try to, and now that's going to become a national holiday. So, you know, I heard on the news tonight. And where Bergen County is always going to remain an outstanding and affordable place to own a home and raise a family. During this challenging time, we saw enormous hardship. I'll never stop fighting to make sure testing is easy and accessible and available to everyone. We will also see the best in terms of Bergen County's dedication and selflessness on the front lines from our healthcare workers, from our first responders, and people donating food and helping their neighbors out in countless ways. This is a wonderful place to live, and that's why Bergen County is strong. No matter what the struggle, we come together to support each other. We value family and community and service. As long as we continue to come together, we will secure a strong, promising future for everyone. I hope Ramona and I can count on your support. Please remember to send in your mail-in ballot or drop it in the secure drop box. It's so important that everyone participates and have their voices heard in this election. Thank you again to Bergen Grassroots for hosting this virtual forum. I can't get over the virtual forum. We never had something like this before. And I hope for next time we will come together again. I'd also like to thank my great friend and colleague, David Gantz, who is retiring this year. He's been my running mate for 3 terms, and he was a wonderful source of wisdom and expertise on government. So thank you very much for having us, and that's it for now.
Thank you. And Ramon Hache, what do you want us to remember about this session?
Well, Chuck, thank you. Great forum. Thank you for the very insightful questions and a great job moderating and even showing us how to use a mask. That was the best part. Thank you to the members of the public for taking the time to listen to us tonight and send in questions. And I appreciate you taking the time not only to listen, but also posting comments on Facebook. As I've said before, thank you also to the candidates for stepping up to serve. It's not easy to be in the crosshairs, as they say. And I wish you and your families the best the rest of the journey. As everyone can gather from what you heard, what you listened to tonight, during these challenging times, Bergen County has and will continue to be dealing with many important and significant issues. This has been, without question, probably the most difficult year for all of us. And while I'm very proud of how we have pulled through this health crisis, we're not yet out of the woods. It's important to remember that. Bergen County is on the right path. After being dealt a very tough hand, the tip of the spear, as you said. But thanks to the great work of our residents, the frontline workers, the real heroes, our first responders and leaders like my running mate, Freeholder Joan Voss, who listened to the science and took swift, decisive action to keep people safe and are continuing to make sure we can reopen safely and support our communities and small businesses. As I mentioned before, I was the mayor, the COVID mayor when this thing hit, and I saw how this deadly virus affected my community. And I worked very closely with the county to get help quickly to those who needed it. And as a freeholder, I'll keep fighting to stop the spread of the virus and help our families and businesses get through this and back on their feet. And I'll always fight to make sure our families have the opportunities they need to succeed. I'll fight to invest in our future by focusing on education. Bergen County is a great place to raise a family. I'm very fortunate to be doing so myself, and I'm eager to work hard for you to make it even better. And also, I'll be remiss if I didn't take the time to thank the Dean of the Freeholder Board, David Gans, for the many years of dedicated service to the residents of Bergen County, particularly our veterans. All the best, David. Good luck. And I thank, again, everyone for the time. Thank you for being engaged and caring about the issues. And with your help, I hope to be working alongside with my running mate, Joan Voss, at the county level, continuing the outstanding work of the current board. Be safe, God bless, and good night.
And Ron Kistner, you get to finish it off for us.
Thank you, I appreciate it. And I have notes, but I'm not going to use them because I really want to speak from the heart here. Thank you, everybody. This is a great honor either way. The question on diversity, I didn't answer well because I think my dad raised me. Yeah, it didn't matter what color or anything was. So I don't look at people that way. And I think it proves by the awards I've received. As I said, I was one of the first non-African Americans to win the NAAC Bergen County Award, which I'm very honored. I received several awards from the Asian Association, as Joan knows. Actually, she mentioned the Juneteenth event. I worked on with Arnold Brown, and I brought it to Overpeck Park, and we had a lot of fun with it. Listen, I hope to win on November 3rd. It'd be a great honor. November 4th, I wake up November 4th, win or lose, I'm still a lucky guy. I'm blessed. I have a great family, great friends. I will continue to volunteer. I will continue to do the things I do. The reason I want to get on the Freeholder Board, because I think I am a worker. I have experience. I work with everybody. I don't look at Republicans and Democrats. This is what's need to be done to help people. I just want to get on there. I think I'm a doer. I know how to roll my sleeves up, and I'll be there. I'll give it 100%. It's as simple as that. I have a kind of a way I look at life, and I'll continue to look at this way either way. Everybody falls down sometimes, and we should be there to help somebody up. If someone decides to lay down, they got to wake themselves up. It's a pretty simple concept, but it's worked a lot for me to help a lot of people. And people have been there for me, and I just want to continue to go that way, win or lose this election. Thank you.
And thank you to all of you. Normally we would have a round of applause. It's hard to make that work in the certain circumstance. But you know, there's no question that the people of Bergen Grassroots really believe that county government plays an incredibly important role in the lives of the million people who live here. And that's why we've taken this opportunity to work to make this virtual forum engage all of you and providing you an opportunity to say what it is that you would do if you take on that important 30% of the role of making the decisions of the legislature for the county. Bergen Grassroots spends a lot of time, as Joan knows more than I think any of the rest of you do, in really tracking exactly what goes on. We were there for all the 11 sessions of the budget this last year. That's it's an important function that you play. It bothers me deeply that so few people actually in the county of Bergen know the role of this legislature. And I hope that they have recognized tonight that they have heard from 4 people who bring diverse experience, some diversity in itself, 2 women, 2 men, that's part of it. And Ramon brings his Dominican background for a piece of the diversity that has not been part of the process before. But we also have people like Ron, who brings enormous amount of specific experience and actually knowing how to run part of a municipality and knowing sort of how that relates to the county. I'm not going to point out sort of the strengths of each of you. It's obvious tonight that the county will be well served after the 3rd. I will tell you that in terms of trying to understand this ballot process, Bergen Grassroots has in the post that sits right behind the one announcing you tonight, a pretty careful analysis that provides additional information about some of the questions that have continued to vex people trying to figure out whether or not they want to participate and how. And if you are in doubt about any of those steps, go take a look at what we have on our website. Bergen Grassroots will be here to watch what you do. And again, thank you very much for a very, very useful meeting tonight.